Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow, and I'm here this morning to speak to you just about simple truth. That's it. I'm going to talk about the truth on a few different fronts because it's in my mind, it's in my conscience. I woke up this morning and I just started to think about things. And I know that as Americans, sometimes we don't spend a lot of time thinking about things. We do not slow down our lives and our minds enough to actually think about how things are really, affecting our lives and how they are influencing our lives in the world that we find ourselves living in. Let me say this, and let me speak words of truth and soberness. And let me try my best to stimulate your minds and take your mind into places that sometimes you may not ever consider. When we look at all the influences all around us on a daily basis, it seems like something is trying to advertise to our hearts and our minds to gain some type of inception or influence into our thought patterns or our life. When you look at the social order of today and you look and see our country for what it really truly is, a lot of people just assume that, let me go to the grocery store. A lot of people just assume when you go to the grocery store that you have products there that are put there because we have an administration called the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, that many of these corporations and these companies have to get past in order to be able to put a product on the shelves for us, the people, to consume. But then when you turn around and look at it, you see that well over 99% of the products that is actually in the store are there, and they are designed to some way, somehow, to kill you, to make your life miserable, not more healthy. And now everybody's done jumped on what you call this organic food thing. I mean, everything's, you go in there in the store now, you see big gigantic sections of organic, or another term they use is all natural, all natural. And you read these things, and there's an automatic assumption that every single one of us, we seem to function by. We don't ever expect to go to the store and have to deal with meat products having pink slime in it, glued together by meat, having meat glue, full of pesticides and herbicides and stuff that I guess they're designed to kill the bugs. But then when you turn around and see that they're designed to destroy your immune system too, it doesn't enter into our thought pattern that these products are out there designed to kill us. The problem is that we have well over 6.5 billion people on the face of planet Earth, and less than 1% of the population of the whole entire Earth rules over 6.5 billion people. And they have systems set up. They have governments set up. They have ways set up and entrenched. And they actually believe that they are some type of gods or demagogues. And they believe that they're in control of you. And they act like they control you. So they control you through their laws. They control you through religion. They control you because they are the ones who determine the social standing of any country. When we see the decline going on all around us and how people are just not convicted whatsoever at all because we feed constantly this flesh. And boy, do we feed it. We feed it spiritually. We feed it naturally. We feed it when we're sitting in front of that TV. We allow anything to enter into our eyes, not expecting that when it enters into our eye gate, then later on we're going to have to deal with some type of perverted thought, or we're going to have to deal with something that's trying its best to shape our conscience and our mind. We are loaded with fears, depressions, anxieties, and it just makes you begin to start to think and wonder. At least it does me. Because there's nothing out there that is actually for all of us as the people. I mean, you think about the powers that be. You got people that run around in woods butt naked, worshiping owls. You have all these secret societies that worship the devil. I mean, literally. And then you look at the architect of our land. Just take a look at the architect. Have you ever studied to see what that Washington Monument is? I know what they call it, but have you ever really looked behind that thing to see what that thing really truly is, because it goes all the way back to Egypt. It does. And it's in almost every country in the world. Have you ever did your own independent research? I know what the window dressing is to a lot of things. And of course, when you only have a few people that are actually conscious and aware of what's going on in this world, to the people who has been trained by the rich, the people who have been trained by the leaders, the so-called leaders of this world, when their mind has been indoctrinated with lies from one end of the spectrum to the other, they already know how you're going to respond. They already know how you're going to react. They already know how you're going to think. Let me give you an example for a second, okay? All right, I'm a pastor, all right? And let's just say I'm a pastor, and then one day I end up in court, okay? And you have all these jurors over here, all right? And no matter what the case is, let's just say this, that the defense attorney gets up, and I'm up on the bench, and they ask me a question. All right, now knowing that my wife is sitting right there in that audience, but they ask me this question, and they'll say, and of course it could be a saint of the Most High, somebody who's gotten injured or hurt or something like that, who knows, or somebody husband done abused them or something like that. And of course, after they get finished with their lying, satanic mindset and ways and stuff, and how they actually twist, warp, and distort and wrestle things, they're going to have their jury turned all upside down, because they know their jury is not smart enough, nor are they intelligent enough to catch what they're doing, because they have been trained by the TV. They've been trained by the school system, so they already have a head start on how your mind operates and functions. And then they call me up and they say, Pastor Dow, here's Sister Lisa over here. Do you love Sister Lisa? Sure I do. I sure do. I love Sister Lisa. Next thing you know, he gets up on over in front of the jury. Did you hear what he said? He said he loves Sister Lisa. Now, there's something about this pastor right here. You know why? Because it seems like that he has a love for a lot of women in the congregation. Now, is that not amazing? And of course, only a few people would actually catch on what's going on. Everybody else would look and see, and then they'll turn and look over my wife, and at first that poor wife, and then he'll get another one up, and he'll ask this sister, has the pastor ever told you that he loves you? Yes, he has. He has. Now, wait a minute. And then they'll get up and twist it. You know, there's his poor wife over there. He should be loving her, but he loves all these sisters here. And no telling what they do. And then the minds of the people are just gone from that point. Just literally gone. Because they don't have any understanding to know that they have a legal social devil sitting right up in front of them. They don't know that. And they are schooled in the art of deception, strategy, and manipulation. So is the advertising. Have you ever, I'm sure many of you watch TV all the time. Have you ever paid attention to how much they advertise you half to death and just keep flashing stuff up in your minds left and right and right and left? Next thing you know, you're out in the store, a thought comes to your mind. And see, it's already letting you know you're not in control of your thought pattern nor yourself. A thought ends up in your mind. You ain't even thinking about the product and stuff. And then you go home, you just go buy it because it entered into your mind. Then you got the churches. You go to church. I mean, all your life, you've been told that there's this big fat guy by the name of Santa Claus who's actually going to come down the chimney, even if you don't have one, and he's going to give you presents. You've been lied to by the people who are supposed to have been the most trusted sources in your life, which is your parents. If your tooth fall out of your mouth, and then they'll put up on the pillow, the tooth fairy will come and give you some money. Man. And then the majority of America just got finished celebrating one of these pagan satanic holidays called Easter. They don't care that it has to do with Satanism, because the window dressing paints it all up nice and flowery. You don't care what the history of it is. You don't care what it's about. You say in your mind, I know what I do it for. And you have defined religion. You have defined the creator universe on your own terms, and you have decided you're going to worship him your own way, regardless of what he says. But you ought to see what he done to his people who decided to take on that kind of order. Then you have to deal with the political system. And that right there is a shame. You believing that the president, it actually has some type of influence on the policies and the laws that are here in America. There are people who have deep pockets. I'm talking about trillions of dollars, billions, multiple billionaires, many, many times over, trillions of dollars, that control every aspect of our Congress. You look at all these groups that lobby. They lobby, they get all this money together, they throw it at these senators, they go in there not having much money at all, come out multi-millionaires many, many times over and stuff. And because most people don't have the fortitude to stand against people just throwing money, because there's no integrity of the heart in front of their hearts and faces. Most people will sell their mama, their daddy, their granddaughter, their own children for money. They would do it. And they'll sell their own soul for it. Money, fame. You look at the morality. Look at our morality as a society, and look at how much it has declined. Just take a step back. The people in their 20s, they can't take a step back because they don't know anything but what they have grown up in. But those of you who are in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You can sit back and it's just literally, you put your head on your shoulder, you just shake it. That's why a lot of parents today are homeschooling, because they don't want their children to be influenced by these monsters that these parents are raising out here who are immoral. I mean, life itself is just a serious obstacle course. So everything that you have ever thought that you trusted and believe in, unless you have personally done your own independent thinking and research, our society has made us dumb, dormant, docile, and demoralized. I call it the 4 Ds. And it's sad. And no matter what country it is in this world, we're all ruled by the rich. They sit back in their sealed houses. They sit back in their sealed homes. They cause race wars, genocides. We're ignorant and dumb of history. I was watching Farrakhan the other day. I was watching Farrakhan on YouTube, and he was at Berkeley, and he asked the people at California Berkeley. He asked them 2 questions, and when he asked them questions, it got my attention because I'm a thinking man. He asked them people. He said, "How many of you people have ever heard of the Holocaust?" Probably 90% of the students in that audience and the people that always raise their hand. And he says, Then he turns around and he says, "How many of you have ever heard of the greatest Holocaust that has ever been perpetuated upon mankind?" And he was talking about the plight of the black people in America. I can't recall him ever saying transatlantic slave trade. But how many of you people have ever heard of the transatlantic slave trade? See, most people, when you start talking about subjects like this, automatically something rises up in them to justify and defend their position and standing where they're at right now. And it's sad. It's really sad, especially if you are a black man and black woman, if you have never heard of the transatlantic slave trade. It's amazing that everybody in the world, the Jews, the Europeans, the Americans, the Africans, no matter who you are, you know about this Holocaust. They've got the Anti-Defamation League set up. They have laws set up for people. They demonize leaders of free countries, anybody who speaks against it and stuff. And you know about this, but you don't know about the well over 100 million people that was brutally murdered, raped, robbed, pillaged, and brought over here to the Americas in the transatlantic slave trade. Burned estates, lynched, robbed, hung, families separated. You don't know nothing about that. And most of you don't care to know anything about it. You know why? Because it's too much weight on your conscience. And if you don't know that, then how much other things are you functioning about in this world that you don't know? I mean, think about it. I mean, how much other things you don't know? I speak to these liars. I speak truth to these liars. No, I don't care who it is. Because one thing that truth is guaranteed to always do is it's there to liberate you. It always sets you free. And if we don't understand the past, if we don't know history, I'm sitting here watching us repeat the same mistakes again and again and again. I don't expect Christians to understand anything that I say at all because they're not students of the Bible. They don't know the Bible. They do not know the book. Most people are living under what they call a perception of truth, and that's the reason why we have a lot of religious wars, faith wars, if you want to call it, or just wars among ourselves. You have what you call truth, and then you automatically assume that somebody else has what they call truth. And you use that as a divide and a separator to stay in a position where you are. And that's the truth. But the truth is, there's only one truth, and everybody has a perception of that truth. But the only way you can get to the bottom line to find out who really truly believes what that truth is, and no matter what subject it is you have to first be willing to sit down and have a dialogue, a civil dialogue, an intelligent civil dialogue. You can't really do that with a lot of Americans today anyway, because we're full of fears. And if you are willing to do that, I guarantee between the two of you, if there's a disagreement, y'all can come to the truth, and or you're going to come to the knowledge of yourself that you love to live lies, you embrace lies, and you're not about to change for nobody in this world, because you're going to keep your perception, your perceived truth, and you're going to exalt that truth above what the actual truth is. So, they use sports, football, basketball, baseball, just like the ancient Roman Empire did. They use sports to keep us all sidetracked from what's going on in the world. They use these holidays to keep us all sidetracked. Think about it. How many things in this country, laws, how many laws that was passed in this country during holidays, when Congress wasn't in session? Do any of y'all know anything about the Federal Reserve Act of 1913? Do you? Do you know anything about it? Do you? Do any of you out there know about the Balfour Agreement? Do you? Do you know anything about it? I could go on and on and on asking you things. Do you know anything about it? That's the same way they did when Rome was in a decline. You see, when Rome was in the decline, what they did was they kept the people happy. They fed them with what they call happiness, just entertainment. They kept their minds sidetracked from the real issues while the movers and shakers behind the scene controlled every aspect of your life. I hope that you can wake up. And I think the first step to waking up is to come out of the churches in America. Every single one of them. Come out, stop what you're doing, and pick one subject in that Bible. Just one subject. And study that subject according to what that Bible says. Then go on. If you're in the world and you want to know about economics, don't trust and assume what you believe is the truth already. Do your own independent research. I can tell you on that front, you're going to find out that this is money, gold and silver, and nothing else. But you're going to disagree with me, especially you got a pocket full of Federal Reserve notes, or you have T-bills, Treasury, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. It makes no difference. CDs, nobody. When you believe that, that's the reason why you do it, because you believe it, right? But I'm going to just ask you, is it the truth? With the Bible. Just take one simple subject. You got Sabbath and you have Sunday. Go and see what the Bible says. Forget about what all these leaders said, and then go question your pastor, your minister, your teacher. Question them. Because I believe, according to my own independent research and thinking, that the Sabbath day is the seventh day of the week, commonly called Saturday here in America. But yet and still, 90% of the people in this country go to church on Sunday, and they call it the Sabbath. Now, somebody's lying. You have two dissenting viewpoints. Somebody's lying. Somebody chooses to actually go out and study it to find out, to see what what is true. Most of you just continue to function after the way you've been trained, and you have no idea. And to change is way too much. So a lot of people don't have a lot of integrity in their heart. And that's just the truth. But if you say you are a truther, why is it that you only deal with truth in certain areas and you refuse to look at truth in other areas? How is it that you can tell people truth about the area that you're concerned about, but you refuse to hear the truth from other areas that you believe that there's no concern or has no concern for you at all? Let's just go ahead and just tell the whole straight up truth. Money is what's controlling this world. Money is what's making this thing go around. Money is what's answering a lot of things today. And of course, our monetary system is just jacked up in this country, and America is quickly becoming a third world country right before our very eyes. I mean, the other day I was in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I think I paid $4.19 or $4.28 for a gallon of gas. You mean tell me with all this oil we got going in the world, $4? Unreal, huh? So what do? I make sure I limit my running, what I have to do. I make sure I limit it. I go as less as possible because I'm a homesteader. I like staying at home. Nothing fulfills my joy more than, like today it's raining outside. And of course, outside we can't do too much gardening. We have plenty of things we can do inside, but I'm a homesteader. I can sit and I can spend some time studying. I can spend some time learning more about the ancient Hebrew language. I can spend, quality time doing something. I can do something with my time. I hope that some way, somehow, that during this little morning talk here, that I've been able to stimulate mind and conscience. That's the only thing I want to do, because see, if you at least to put a defibrillator on it just to stimulate, if you just stimulate it, then perhaps people could wake up out of darkness, and then maybe, just maybe, they can come to the truth and come to the marvelous light. Don't get caught up in this world where everything is vying for your soul. Everything is vying for your soul, and you end up losing it because you refuse to look at the truth.